Hello and welcome to the DIDIOTS podcast, episode 17, and we are talking about the realities of DID. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything. Because that is fucking blowing up on TikTok right now and causing a lot of fights, so we want to weigh in.
One of them hot button topics.
It's one of them hot topics in the DID community right now. To start this off, people can hurt you in your system. Only highlighting the positives of DID makes it to where the public has a very skewed idea of DID. Also, focusing on just the negatives provides a very skewed depiction of DID. So,
yeah, it's like there's good, there's bad, and there's ugly. It's not just... Being a system is not all sunshine, fun, and rainbows.
Yeah, it's not a quirky game.
It's not a, ooh, fun, quirky...
Ooh,
so yay, quirky. Friends in my head.
I'm so quirky. I can't even. Although I say I can't even. But yeah, so shit happens in systems, right? It's going to.
Yeah.
Because people have very different coping mechanisms than the host.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the host can have said coping mechanisms as well. But we've had alters. We've okay, the trigger warning for this entire episode.
Yeah, just kind of a general trigger warning. We're gonna get into some shit.
I know tonight. I'm going to talk about suicide and about self-harm.
Mm-hmm, same.
I know that is right now. I know that's what I'm going to talk about. If something else comes up, I will reference before I say it. But alters in our system have tried to unalive ourselves. Alters in our system, we have come back to things on our arms that should not be there. Or thighs. Several times. Especially in teenage years. Because that's when we were going through, like, a fuck ton. So, alters are gonna have misguided coping mechanisms. We've had alters scream at our family because they thought that they were defending our abuser. And they weren't necessarily doing that, but he still felt invalidated and things like that, and he got into, like, this big, huge thing, that we couldn't, like, calm him down. We couldn't reach him. And so it was all his own volition, and some alters have very distinct negative coping mechanisms. Like, it's... It's very complicated.
Oh, there's an alter right now in our system who's been in the front for, I don't even know how long she's been up here, who just constantly goes, I want you to kill yourself, day in and day out.
Yeah, our persecutors have, which a lot of times they're like misguided protectors. A lot of people have adopted that term, but we still call them persecutors. Sometimes we call them misguided protectors if they're trying to become a protector.
Yeah.
When they're in the process of becoming a protector, we call them a misguided protector. But if they are actively doing things to harm the system, then we call them a persecutor.
Yeah.
There's a distinct difference for us in between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So we would call Carson a misguided protector because he's doing his best to heal himself, while we have Sin and Siren, who are persecutors and do their best to fuck everything up by sending negative images to the front and just scaring the fuck out of us. It's great. And, like, that's some of the more tame things. They can just send thoughts and images to the front. Of, like, sometimes we look at our arm and think we see SH, and we don't. Because they're sending these thoughts to the front of, you could do that. You could do that. And I'm like, but then we have the alters that do everything they can to protect the system. There are positives to this. Like, it's not all thunderstorms and hail and shit. It's not all sunshine and rainbows either. You get all 4 seasons.
Yeah.
It's like the weather. You get your rainy days, you get your hail, you get your thunderstorms, but you also get sunshine and rainbows sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, like, there can be genuinely good fun moments when it comes to part of being a system. My fucking system mates will crack jokes all the time, constantly, in every situation we're in, and it's fucking hilarious sometimes.
Keyword is sometimes, because then when they're cracking jokes at a funeral, it's a bad place to be. And I'm like, guys, this is not the appropriate time to be laughing. And it just it just makes us not capable of social situations. But like, we have alters who are very adept at different social situations. Like, I like to stream. I'm the one who created our Twitch channel. I'm the one, like, our original Twitch name was Fried Butterfly, and my name is Fried. I am literally the person who created our Twitch channel. But, and like, I can do this. I can talk in front of an audience. I can do things like that. There are some alters in the system who, the second they would be put in this chair in front of a camera, they would freeze and not be able to speak.
Like, I know if I was the one at work that had to deal with like the shitty people that yell at us sometimes,
Yeah,
I would probably cry. Edna, on the other hand, keeps her head cool and is just sits there the whole time, like,
customer service face, gotta keep it up. Hi. But like, right, the same thing with us. Like, if Erin didn't take over for half the phone calls, like, just instinctively, because we call her an NPC because that's basically what she is she just works. But, and different systems have different definitions of NPC, so ask. But for us, it's someone who has, like, a function and will only do that function. And, like, specifically if it's, like, a work function, where they're kind of, like, she literally calls herself an NPC because she acts like an NPC in a video game. Where she repeats the same 4 lines.
Yeah.
Because we're working. And so it's, like, the check-in and check-out process, the phone calls. That's really about it. And then, like, Carter maintains a lot of the relationship with our coworkers. Or, like, sometimes it's Alex, sometimes it's me, sometimes it's, I shouldn't say it's me because I rarely go to work. But they handle it.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're very adept at social situations and different things like that because we have alters that can do these things. It's like, our alters are trying to make us function like a neurotypical person.
Yeah.
That's, like, the entire shtick of DID, is it's trying to make you function. Sometimes it's very dysfunctional in the ways that it does that, but it's trying to keep you alive. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but it's trying to keep you safe.
Yeah. Like, that's the whole kind of reason that this disorder forms in the first place, is because when a child goes through traumatic instances over and over and over again,
right,
the brain needs to, like, it'll form, like, the amnesia barriers and everything to keep itself safe, to continue living, to make it through whatever they're going through.
Right.
You know?
And that's why we have people that can really interact with our family, and then some people that can really not interact with our family. We have people that can interact on stream, people that can't interact on stream, people that can interact with our friends and with Galaxius, and some that can't. We literally have, like, a DNI list on Simply Plural. So our friends don't interact with those alters. Because they're just like, nope, I'm good.
Just no thanks.
No thank you.
No.
I'm Gucci. But, like, if they reach out and talk to the other person, then it's fine. But it's like, don't talk to me without my consent, please. Just without my prior written consent. Someone, like, I don't know why. We have a few people that actually would do that, though.
I feel that.
But, like, there are a lot of positives. There are a lot of negatives. You have to if you're comfortable portraying both, you need to portray both.
Mm-hmm.
That is the key to getting people to understand our disorder. Is when they see the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah, because it's like, it's such... It can be kind of like a hard time, honestly, I feel like, properly portraying...
Right.
It's
a really weird balancing act, because there's
Mm-hmm.
periods of time where you're feeling really negative, and periods of time where you're feeling very positive. It just depends on who's fronting, what the situation is, things like that, because some ultras can handle a really negative situation very well. Like, we have, like, emotional protectors who are constantly happy, regardless of the situation at hand. So they front, so we don't feel shitty.
Mm-hmm.
Because their presence is a comfort.
Yeah.
Not every altar's presence is a comfort. Some I don't trust. Some scare the fuck out of me. And that is a normal part of DID and OSDD.
Yeah.
It's a normal part of being a system.
There's some alters where I'm just like, I'm gonna wait on acknowledging your existence for like a little bit.
Same.
Because,
But our problem is if we don't write them down, we forget. And
yeah.
And then they front later and they're like, oh, I've already been here, but I'm not written down, so I guess I'm like later on the list than I should be. And so our instinct now is anytime anyone shows up, at least write them down. You don't have to trust them, you don't have to interact with them. At least write them down. Like, and so, because sometimes they don't write themselves down. Sometimes they will only put themselves into plural kit because that's what they remember to do, and then we go through plural kit and write everybody down.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, our simply plural automatically updates with plural kit, which is very nice.
That is very nice.
We just have to import system a couple times, and it's fine. But yeah, I followed that. Again, I gotta etch a sketch. But like, it is very complicated having DID and OSDD. I just speak about DID because it's my experience. They speak on OSDD because that's theirs. But it's Bringo Bois. Why are you trying to take the front from me when I am the most adept at this, guys? I can do it.
Like, come on, let me talk. I'm doing the thing, guys.
I'm doing the thing. It's fine. It's Alex, sorry. That switch could not be stopped. It was like preventing a blink. It had to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know why it had to happen, but our brain was like, this has to happen now. And we're like,
now, you need to switch right now.
Okay, thanks. Okay, it's great, thanks. Fried is still, like, right here, passive influencing me, because he wants back in the front. Because he wants back in the front so bad. And I'm just like, it's fine.
I was like, it's my
so we're
turn
kind
now.
of, like, blending, and it's super weird, and I don't like it. Because my voice is higher than it should be. So I guess it's Alex and Fred, I guess. Fuck, but, like, Alex is a huge asset to our system, too. It's Fred again. Alex is, like, a huge asset to our system. He fused, and he refragmented because our brain kept trying to switch to him for months when he was gone. And so when something traumatic happened, our brain was like, Alex,
it's like, it's time to bring back.
Time to bring him back, baby. My brain was just like, it's time to bring him back. And that's also happened with Kaya and Kathleen
A handful of
and
people.
me, and Jason, who is like somewhere between a misguided protector and a persecutor.
Oh boy.
He's not quite a misguided protector, but he's not quite a persecutor. He's somewhere in the middle of the two.
It's just kind of
Because he tries to protect our system, but he's very angry about it. Like, he's very angry at other people. Dude. I mean, he's an interject of someone who was, like, really angry And so he just kind of took that in and was like, I am an anger alter now. And I'm just like, okay.
Boy, cool.
Cool. Thank you for punching the fridge. Actual story based on something that happened. But no one's violent towards other people. So we just need to let our anger out. And our therapist literally said, get a plastic bat and beat your bed. And I was like, okay, we have yet to get a plastic bat. But sometimes we take a roll of paper towels and just whack it. And then, fuck up the roll of paper towels, but it's fine. Because for some reason, when we feel our anger, it just needs to be let out.
Yeah.
Holding it in isn't going to do anything. It's not going to solve the problem. Letting it out de-escalates us.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of want to go to, a rage room or something like that and just break a bunch of shit. That would be very fun. It would also probably be good if we got into, a contact sport, but we are very physically unable to do that. We used to play Quidditch, and that was really good. We liked playing Quidditch because it got all of our energy out. And then we sprained our ankle not playing Quidditch. We sprained it walking from a class to another class. And then we just, dropped out of Quidditch because we were gone for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, our school has a Quidditch team, and it's the best thing ever.
Amazing.
We run with PVC pipes in between our legs. It's so fun.
Our way for getting, negative emotions out has been just kind of writing it down.
We used to write really fucked up stories.
Yeah, that's a mood.
We used to really traumatic.
Yeah,
we also write really traumatic stories. We write our characters with a lot of goddamn trauma because we don't know anything different. And trauma because God is playing author with us. Because God is playing author with us and putting us through traumatic shit for character development. I'm gonna do it too.
And then they end up as an interject in your system, and then you go,
oh, it's fine.
Hey.
Had that happen a couple times. The OCs that we split were actually not writing OCs. One was an RP OC, so kind of a writing OC, and the others we just did a lot of art of.
Mm-hmm.
And was this is our Vocaloid OC. And there were 2 of them. They were twins, and both of them are in our system.
We've got a lot of RP characters.
Yeah.
Some of which it's honestly hard to tell if they formed after the character was created or if they were just the one that created the character. And that's
how
why
we
we're
are.
you guys are partial interjects.
What we think happened is they just drew themselves over and over again, put themselves in that universe. Mm-hmm. And we're this is our escape. And that's how they formed. I think that's what happened to us, at least. Because we would use our art as an escape. We would use our art to vent. We would use our writing to vent. We would do all of that because that was our only safe way of doing so. And it was just because, our dad was an artist, so he loved when we drew.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom wrote a fuck ton of fan fiction. I have a 3-inch binder of it that I found. I don't want to read it. And she was a manager at Barnes & Noble, so she loved reading and writing. She wanted to write a book before she died. She wanted to write a memoir. And so when we wrote, we felt more connected to Mom.
Yeah.
So it was just, that's how we coped.
Yeah.
We never really journaled, because every time we journaled, our parents would somehow find it.
See, we journaled for multiple years, from 2012 to 2017. We kept a daily journal, and we just wrote. We did the same thing we did yesterday.
That's hilarious. That is,
and that was most of the entries just consist of, yeah, we did the same thing that we do every day. Minecraft.
That's a fucking mood.
Play online. very, very few times did we ever talk about anything like emotion-wise in our journals and our writing. Like,
We did a couple emotional journals because our therapist wanted us to, because by high school we got a therapist because our parents were like, oh, you need a therapist to transition, and we're trying to support you in doing that, but won't change the name we call you, so we're going to get you a therapist. And so they did. It wasn't until the second therapist that they actually called me by Carter, which, I mean, now Mom struggles with everyone's names, but it's fine. She just calls us C, which is perfectly fine. Because if she doesn't, like, especially if she doesn't know, she's like, C or Carter. And I'm like, I will respond to either. It is fine. Because I don't want to inconvenience my mother. There's a lot of reasons for that. It's not just what happened in my childhood. It's because I respect her enough to give her that privilege. Because other people, I'm like, call me by my name. Hello. But, like, Mom and my family, a lot of people in my family just call me Carter, and that's fine. Because we respond to it. It doesn't matter. It's a name.
Yeah.
Mom will call us C. Sometimes we'll get called C. Like, our grandma called us C a couple times when she was trying to remember, but by the end of her life, she was starting to forget more things. And so we just forgave her because she, like, literally up until, like, her deathbed, I'm pretty sure she ended up calling us by our dead name a couple times. Like, she, progressively throughout the years, it got less and less, but it was literally up until, like, her deathbed that she, like, was calling us that. But it wasn't, like, an every time thing.
Yeah.
It was a once in a few days thing.
Yeah.
Because she had pre-dementia for a couple years, which we think developed into dementia, and so I just forgave her.
Yeah.
Because I love my grandma too much to correct her. But that is a privilege I gave them because I respect them enough to do so. But it's like when we get shown the respect of being called by all of our names and putting the effort into at least calling us by C, then we respect more and get in whatever. Because it all just, one of those DID things.
Yeah, that's a mood.
We posted about this on TikTok, but I want to talk about it on the podcast because this is another fucking reality at DID, alright? We went to fucking Walmart. Alright? For this. And this is all we went for. It's Carter, by the way, because I'm the one that's pissed about this. But me and Fried can switch really easily because we're really close in personality.
Yeah.
So we went for this, alright? These, I got. Because we need them for the apartment. I did not buy this. Well, we paid for it. I did not pick these out. I should say. I did not pick any of this out. Alright?
Sometimes your headmates steal your fucking money.
Yep.
And buy stupid shit.
But because they heard, we want to reopen the Etsy shop, and went, bet. Spent $75 that we don't fucking have. I'm mad about it, alright? I was so pissed when I checked out, because we put some stuff back, and it was still $75. And we got more than that. That's just what I'm showing, because that's what's near me. We also got 2 rolls of duct tape to make duct tape wallets. Which, the first one failed tremendously, and we wasted a fuck ton of duct tape. Which is fine.
Boy. That's all Daijobu.
It's all fine. It's all fine.
Goddamn.
Why is Ace in the front room with me? It's Fried, but, like, because we switched, but Ace is being weird. But, like, another thing about, like, a negative is the money spending.
Yeah.
It's not like a, I mean, it could harm you. True.
Yeah.
Because you might not be able to afford food, you might not be able to afford gas to get to your therapy, like, might be what happened this week. Because my headmates are dicks. Might not be able to afford your bills, stuff like that. And it can get out of hand.
Yeah.
Especially if a goddamn little wants to buy stuffies.
Yeah.
Our littles really like stuffies, and it pisses us off sometimes. But,
I'm going to come out and say this because it's...
okay.
And sometimes when we're out shopping, they'll drag me to the front and ask if I want something. Like, I'm only out at work. I don't care how you spend the money. Stop asking me.
That's a mood. That's like Erin. She doesn't care because she only works.
Right? They're just like, oh no, Edna, you should pick something out for yourself because you're the one that earns the money. I don't care. I don't care.
That's such a mood. Another thing. Some altars use substances. And some don't want them to use said substances. Even though we are an adult and can use those substances. We are 21 goddamn years old. But we have altars that are like, stop doing that. I'm like, I probably should for my health, but no.
But also consider this. You're not my dad.
You're not my dad. Inserts altar that is our dad. We still don't listen to that motherfucker. He has no authority here. But, and that's another thing. You can get interjects of your abusers. All three of our abusers are in our system. The fuck's up with that? It's bullshit. And two of them are still persecutors. And I'm like, guys, please stop. For the love of God, stop.
Come on.
I'm like, come on. Just work with us, please. And they're like, no, this is fun. And I'm like, But it's like... But... brain go blah.
Sometimes having DID or OSDD is splitting off an altar that's your ex.
Yeah.
And having to deal with that.
Yeah. Or splitting almost every member of your goddamn immediate family. We literally have my grandmother, my dad, two versions of my mom, my sister, my uncle. It's bullshit. Oh, and my other uncle. We have two uncles. It's bullshit. I'm like, why are you needed? And they're like, we related in some way. And I'm like, okay, that's not enough of a reason, but thank you. Like, we related to it while we were going through it. That's what happened. And I'm like, I hate you.
Thanks, I guess.
It's just more altars to fuse, baby. I don't know if we're going for Final Fusion. We're leaving that up to, like, the last 10 left, but I honestly hope we get to 7 and stay at 7 so our name works again.
That would be the dream, wouldn't it?
That's the dream. Is we get down to 7 altars and then stay that way.
I don't know if our goal is necessarily Final Fusion. I don't think so. I think
we just want a smaller number.
I think
we want to get to
just
like 10.
Functional.
Like, if we can, we want to get to 10.
If
we can, we want to get to 7. Because that's the dream. No. Okay, I'll talk about that later. I need to... this down.
That's probably a good idea.
They're just gonna see that name written on a book, and they're gonna be confused as shit, and then I'm going to pop in and be like, hey.
Another fun reality is just sometimes
people pop up.
Yeah, sometimes just people pop up out of the blue. You're just given random information.
And the worst part about all of it is people fake claim you for it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not my fault that someone got triggered out by a catchphrase.
Once we got fake claimed because Leah got triggered out because we put on her favorite necklace.
But that's how some alters ground themselves.
Yeah.
People literally have fronting bracelets. With, like, different alters, like, make their own bracelet.
Meanwhile, at therapy, our therapist watches Leah pop out every week to walk us to the car because for some reason the knees don't buckle as much for her.
That's fair. That's completely fair. Yeah, like, we don't have, like... We have, like, different pain tolerances. We don't have, like, different reactions to our pain, I guess. Mm-hmm. It's all the same pain.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we can either tolerate it or we can't.
Yeah.
It also depends on if it's a high pain day or a low pain day. But, that's the fun of having EDS.
Woo!
Woo! I won the genetic lottery. And the traumatic lottery, apparently. Fucking...
Got a whole barrel of fun.
Fucking 10% dissociative disorder rate. Alright? That's just all dissociative disorders. 10% of the population. Alright? Roughly 1 to 3% for DID.
Mm-hmm.
And I fucking end up with it? What is this bullshit?
Like, what are the goddamn odds, and why me?
Why me? I know that's like 3 out of 100 at max, but like, you get 100 people in a room. My graduating class should have at least 5 DID systems, and I only know of myself. I am sus. Unless, like, I mean, I didn't know everyone in my graduating class, because there was like 500. But I knew a significant chunk of them.
Yeah.
I knew probably at least 30 to 40% of them. Just because we were involved in, like, ROTC, and choir, and theater, and all that fun jazz.
There's some people that I know where since we've figured out that we were a system, we've met people where we're just like, I'm a little sus.
One of the uncles we split.
A little sus here.
Yeah, one of the uncles we split, we swear to God, has DID. We had an hour-long conversation, and he was relating to everything we were saying. And I'm like, I'm a little sus, my God. We had him take the DES, and I don't know what it is before you have awareness of your amnesia, but he scored in between BPD and PTSD, which is a pretty low score, but his experiences that he was talking to me about, he literally was saying, like, oh, this part of me feels like other parts of me hold it back because it's like a negative part. And I'm like, keep going. keep talking. When we talked for like an hour, and I swear to God, this motherfucker has DID. And then 2 fucking days later, we find him in our system because we're going through shit.
Gotta love it. I mean, like, before Tia started to become aware of the system, we never even realized that we were dissociating.
Me either. I thought I just zoned out.
We didn't even think we zoned out.
I knew I zoned out.
We thought that we were alert 24/7.
We knew we zoned out. That's as far as we knew. And when we were 16, we were like, we went to our therapist. When we were 16, we were like, our anxiety and depression have different voices inside of our head that aren't ours. And she didn't know what to do with that information. And several years later, we bring up DID because we found an altar that had a name.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all of this makes sense now.
It's like, this makes sense now.
I don't know if you moved your mic closer to your computer, but I can hear myself.
Can you hear? I gotta love having technical difficulties because none of my headphones work. Woo!
Woo. Yeah, I can't hear myself now. It's fine.
Awesome.
I'm kind of still hearing it, but it's fine. It is what it is. I'm not worried about it.
It'll all be daijoubu.
It's all fine.
It's all good in the hood.
No, reality of streaming, technical issues. Just had to make a bit. But it's absolutely crazy what people think is not capable in DID. This forms in a child's psyche. Anything is fucking possible.
It's literally the brain making shit up to protect itself.
Yep. Your brain's like, no one can handle this, I'm going to make a new person.
Our brain was like I feel like a crazy person telling this story.
Mood.
But
me, anytime I talk about my DID,
is like, you feel like a fucking crazy person sometimes. Because the beginning of me finding, it's Tia, by the way. The beginning of me finding out about the system was I 100% believed that I was possessed by a demon.
And that's part of the cultural thing now, is because Christianity is so ingrained in the populace, at least in America. A lot of people with DID literally think they're possessed.
Yeah.
Nope, we've just remembered of someone from high school that probably has DID. A couple people probably.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing. We've been talking with one of our coworkers about how she's been finding out about the system. And I know that she watches the podcast. Hi. She's been saying oh, I think DID might be a lot more prevalent than people realize, and we're just like, yeah.
Some areas of the world, studies have seen 15%, especially war-stricken parts of the world. 15%. But the global average, according to the ISSTD, from they looked at several studies for it. I need to find the exact paper. Is 1 to 3.
Yeah.
The one they have on their website is the 0.1 to 1. But if that specific paper that the ISSTD did said 1 to 3. And that's more widely accepted.
Even at the low end of 1%, that's out of 7 billion people.
I want to look something up. I want to see what 0.1% of the population is. At the very lowest it could be. So 7.9 billion. I gotta turn my phone sideways to get billion.
That the trans population is 1.6 or 0.1 or something way lower.
That is still
the trans people.
0.1% of DID. Wait, I think I did that wrong. Yeah, I did that wrong. I know I did that wrong. Because I didn't do it in percent. Yes, that is a billion. Okay, That's still 7.9 billion. No, not billion. 7.9 million people. That's 0.1%.
Yeah.
Is 7.9 million people. And people are like, then why are they all on TikTok? I'm like, have you seen 7.9 million systems on TikTok?
And it's the thing, one of the big things about...
You've probably seen a couple thousand, but that's it.
Yeah, one of the big things about this disorder is every time there's been something cultural to get people aware that this disorder exists, more people realize they have it.
Yep.
We realize what gave my system the comfort to start coming forward was because we knew another system.
We read a book in high school And it was like, okay, what if everyone starts off with 2 parts of themselves, and at age, I don't know what they said, I think it was 9, which clearly a DID allegory. I need to look into the author, probably. And then they fuse, and there's one identity that takes over. What if they didn't fuse?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, it's a trilogy, and we got halfway through the first book, and I swear someone got rid of it. Because we could not find it, still cannot find it, nowhere. We swear to God someone put it in the free book thing at high school. Because they figured it would make us figure out the system too early. I swear to you that is what happened. Because I cannot remember placing that book anywhere. I cannot remember doing anything with that book besides reading it. I can't remember anything else to do with that book. I couldn't remember the title. I couldn't remember the author.
Mm-hmm.
I had to Google the story to find it, and it is now on our Amazon wishlist.
Nice.
Because we really want to fucking read it.
I want to read that too, honestly. That sounds really interesting.
I think it's like Parts of Us or something. Let me pull up my Amazon wishlist.
I love interpreting things through a DID lens.
Oh, fucking absolutely.
Turning things into DID allegories when they're obviously not, but like some things are just weirdly relatable on a system level.
Let me find
Sometimes the reality of this disorder is finding relatability in really weird places.
So the 3 titles are What's Left of Me, Once We Were, and Echoes of Us. Those are the 3 in order from 1 to 3. And it's by Kat Zhang. Zhang. And Kat is spelled with a K. Just had to put that out there.
And now someone's chanting book club in my head.
What the fuck? Oh, book club. I heard butt club. That's why I said what the fuck. I was like, that's not even topical to the situation. Audio processing go burr. And then I realized you said book, and I was like, oh.
It'd be like that.
Oh, Jesus Christ. But DID and OSTD are fucking wild, dude. Anything is possible. Like, another reality of DID is non-humans.
Oh, we've got so many.
Not every system will have
majorly non-human.
Not every system will have a non-human. But I know a famous system that claimed to have a non-human that just found a non-human.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you're one of us now, baby. They've posted about it on public. I'm just going to say it. It's the A system. They've posted about it publicly, so I don't care. So I'm just going to say it. But we were just like, one of us. One of us. You know, it's never fun to find a new alter, but we were just like, one of us. One of us.
Sometimes you gotta make a joke out of it. Sometimes you gotta make the best out of it.
That's literally, like, the only coping mechanism, like, the only, like, I don't want to say healthy because it's gotten to an unhealthy point. It can be a healthy coping mechanism. But that was the only coping skill that we were taught as a kid, is that if someone bullies you, laugh it off. Make fun of yourself so they don't make fun of you first. Things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Literally, our dad told us, make fun of yourself so they don't make fun of you first, because he grew up a fat kid. At his heaviest, he was 520 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
But when he died, he was like 170 because of gastric bypass. That's a whole other story. But that was like the one coping skill we were taught, was laugh. Make a joke out of everything.
Yeah, we were raised by our dad as a comedian.
It happens. I know a lot of systems that dads were comedians.
That's a weird pipeline.
At least one other. At least one other.
I mean, I know there's a raised LDS to system pipeline.
Oh, absolutely. There are so many goddamn Mormon systems.
There's so many.
Or
and
like even Exmo, but like it's like,
and I can say that because I'm super Mormon.
Yeah.
My
both
family
of us were raised Mormon.
To the beginning of the church.
Both of us were raised Mormon.
I got
happens.
family history on on both sides of both my parents date all the way back to the beginning of the church.
Jeez. My mom was a convert, but my dad and my grandma grew up in Utah, so of course they were Mormon. And then when they moved out to Ohio, it was a very small ward. They had to drive like a half an hour, and then eventually they built one in our city, which is now the Stake Building, and they had to split our ward into two.
Yeah, when we were living in Connecticut, there's only 2 stakes in the entire state of Connecticut.
Gee, well, yeah, it's a tiny state.
And, so there's like
how many states does Rhode Island have? One?
Probably.
I want to look that up.
They don't have one.
How many LDS stakes are in Rhode Island? 1! I was right!
Ha! But we've been a part of both of the Connecticut stakes.
There are 6 wards and 2 branches. So
they're small enough. They have branches?
Yeah. They have 8 total congregations in the entire state.
That sounds like too many. Having been to Rhode Island, that sounds like too many.
How many are in Utah? How many?
There's
A
ward
lot.
buildings in the parking lot of ward buildings.
Are in Utah.
I'm gonna bet like 7,000
shit
to 14,000.
Okay, 620 stakes. That's county statistics, missions, temples. There's so many temples.
Yeah.
There's so many temples in Utah. And there are more under construction.
Mm-hmm.
And then more that were announced. Jesus. Where's what
right.
I'm looking for?
There's too many. Because again, there's ward buildings in the parking lot.
Total congregations 5,375, 620 stakes, 5,053 wards, and 322 branches.
That's too many.
How many are in
Hey,
Ohio?
Mormons, slow down. Hey, Mormons, can you just stop?
Where is Ohio on this list? 14th largest. Okay. 14 stakes, 104 wards, 23 branches, 127 total congregations. So, Ohio doesn't have a lot compared to Utah. But shit happens. You still end up somehow getting fucking raised Mormon when they're 2% of the population. DID can be more populous than Mormons.
That's wild.
And that's saying a lot because Mormons are everywhere. They just show up at your goddamn door. I can make jokes because I was raised this way.
Same mood.
I still get mad defensive when people make jokes about LDS churches that were never part of the LDS church. Mm-hmm. Because most of them are based in, you had multiple wives. And I'm like, no, we don't. I can make proper Mormon jokes.
It's like, no, that's
if you
like
wanna,
forever ago.
That was
if you're
like
gonna
outlawed
make
in the
multiple
1800s.
wife jokes, make jokes about Joseph Smith having multiple wives.
Yeah, either specific people, or be updated on your facts, bitch.
They're very no about polygamy in the Mormons.
They're still the FLDS church, the fundamentalist LDS church.
Oh, they're crazy.
They're crazy.
That's full on cult.
Yeah,
Even more so
FLDS
than...
is way more cult than LDS.
And LDS is pretty cult.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh very.
Oh yeah. The ward we grew up in wasn't that bad, but we were still like indoctrinated with some like religious shit, obviously. But our ward was very accepting of us when we came out because we're from like the Dayton area, and so it's more liberal. We have a lot of converts.
I once had a Sunday school, I think, lesson about how gay people choose to be gay. I once got told that the reason that I was anxious and depressed was because of Satan. Um,
My bishop literally told my mother when she went in saying, I hear spirits.
mm-hmm.
He didn't call her possessed. He didn't do anything. He said, you were given a gift from God. What you do with that gift from God is your choice.
Mm-hmm.
Please do good with it. And that's what she did. Like, she would do card readings for people. She would do board sessions for people. My cousin does spirit writings for people. I don't know if my mom ever did that. Like, stuff
If
like
the
that.
people I went to church with found out about the system that we have OSDD, I feel like I'd probably be told that I'm possessed.
Our bishop was really nice about it when we talked to him about it, because we told him that was part of our complication with wanting to come back to church, was some altars were distinctly Mormon and some altars were distinctly not Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, that's another reality. It's a difference in theology. You're gonna have to deal with that. Difference in moral views. You're gonna have to deal with that. Like, it's not necessarily a fun time. But the whole, like, and he was, like, accepting of it. He understood because a lot of the bishops, at least in our area, are in the medical field. Somehow, some way, whether it be military or not. There's a lot of military around Dayton because of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Because that's one of the biggest bases in the entire country. And I, grew up next to it, so I didn't think it was a big deal. Until people were like, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And I was like, okay. I was just like, okay. But, so, whether it be military or not, everyone has, like, medical field. Not everyone, but a lot of people have medical field. Like, training and stuff. And so they were like, yes, DID, legitimate thing that happens to people.
This is the weird connection I just made, but one of the, like, most progressive, like, she was my Sunday school teacher for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
She was really cool. She was really progressive. She was a nurse.
Hell yeah. My mom was a Sunday school teacher for a while.
Why is it that the like, progressive Mormons are, like, involved in medical shit?
Yeah, our mom was a primary teacher for a while, even, like, right before she died, like, right before COVID. She was a primary teacher, and she was making the programs for the church. My mom worked in the Family History Center at the church. And so she got our lineage back to, like, 500 in one line. It's crazy.
I know on my mom's side, our lineage is traced back literally as far as my grandmother could go.
Oh, geez. But yeah, my mom did hers. I don't know if you know William Wallace from Braveheart, but we're related to him.
Nice.
Because Braveheart's, I'm pretty sure, based on a true story, but they mention William Wallace in it, and we're related to him. We actually found something when my mom, when we were moving, that was my mom's, that I think was her mom's, or her dad's, I think it was her dad's, that was a Wallace crest. And, like, a family seal.
Dang.
And it was really fucking cool to find. I think it's in one of the jewelry boxes.
I know we've got some ties to, like, English or royalty somewhere.
Like, my sister's lineage can't go anywhere because her grandma was an illegitimate child. So her line stops at her grandmother because we can't find anything. Because she was an illegitimate indigenous child. Makes it even harder to track down. So like, our stepsister, like, can't find anything on her lineage on her mom's side, like our stepmom's side, because we tried doing her lineage and we couldn't. It was like my mom's grandma, so it was like my sister's great grandma, but we can't find anything past her, not on her side anyway. We've been able to go further on other sides, but hers just stops there. Like, we may not be inside of the Mormon church, but a lot of our faith is kind of based in it because that's what we were indoctrinated with.
Yeah, that's, like, what we grew up, like,
And so, like,
I
a
don't know,
lot
we
of
didn't-
us have theistic views
Yeah.
that somewhat align with the Mormon Church, but the practice of it is ass, and we all agree that. Like, the organized part of the religion is the
Organized
downfall.
religion, I think that's, like, our main takeaway, like, at least for us, is that organized religion in general is just not, no thanks.
So, like, we prefer, like, we're spiritual and we believe in things, but we do it on our own time, and we don't, like, feel the need to pray every day. We feel the need to pray when something's going on, but we don't need to feel the need to pray every day. We don't feel the need to do all that stuff. And some of us, like, we think we're an agnostic omnist. So if something exists, everything exists.
Yeah.
But there are some altars that distinctly worship the Christian God, some altars that distinctly worship Greek gods, some people that distinctly worship different Norse pagan gods. It just depends on which altar is fronting for which deity they want to work with. Whether a deity has reached out to us or not, we don't know. We need to get a deity reading. Because there are a lot of robins, and all I have found is that American robins mean different things than European robins. And that's it. They don't tell us what either of them meant.
Just, they mean different things.
They mean different
But
things.
what are those different things? We're not going to tell you.
No. There are just a lot of birds. A lot of birds. Mostly robins, but a lot of birds. We saw a cardinal today, and that was comforting, because we see cardinals as, like, a sign from people who have passed on, same with butterflies. And so, like, certain butterflies we associate with certain people, and certain cardinals we associate with certain people. Cardinals are mostly, like, my grandma Dottie. Butterflies can be my grandma Bev, my mom, Uncle Chuck. Literally could be a lot of people, just depending on the type of butterfly it is. And I'm taking a philosophy class, so excuse me. But, you know, in philosophy, they're like, signs are as you interpret them. I'm like, yeah, but they're comforting. Fuck you.
Yeah.
They're like, what makes the sign have meaning is you interpret it. And I'm just like, eh.
I think our main, like, worldview is that, honestly, the main thing we took away from Mormonism was always Adam fell that men might be and men are that they might have joy. The meaning of life is to learn stuff and be happy.
That was a lot of words. Too bad I didn't hear any of them. All I heard was Adam something, and then you talked too fast, and I was like, oh! I was like, oh, what the fuck just happened?
I think it's like 2nd Nephi chapter 2 verse 25 first. I don't know. So it's like 2nd Nephi chapter 12 verse 25, I think.
I don't.
But it's Adam fell that men might be.
You said
and men are that
chapter.
they might
You
have
said
joy.
12, 25.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Nope. It's not. For the day the Lord of
Let me
hosts soon cometh upon all nations.
Yeah, that's not it.
Yeah, that's not it. I would have been geeked if that was right, though. That would have been great. But I had to look it up. I could have just believed you.
No, it's chapter 2. 2nd Nephi chapter
2.
2 verse 25.
That's what you said first.
Ah.
You did say chapter 2 first. So I will give it to you. Before you change to 12.
I don't know why, like, for some reason I kept thinking 12, like, the numbers 12 and 13 kept sticking out. But I used to have that one memorized, because that was always my favorite scripture. Because I was like, yes, the reason that we are alive is to have joy.
Yeah, that's comforting. I can see how that's comforting. We've been taking a philosophy class and reading a lot of philosophy today. So we're just, like, still in philosopher mode. But I don't like the philosophers we're reading, because they only talk about, like, the good nature of human experience and how everyone should do good. And I'm like, okay, but what if they don't?
It's like, yeah, that'd be sure nice and swell if everybody was good, but
Like, how are you talking about a universal moral compass that people just choose or not choose to break when there's active evil happening in the world? Like, this lecture was given in 1946. The world, like, the Second World War had just ended. Like, the year prior. 1939 to 1945. Don't ask me why I know that. It's ROTC.
Was ready to 100% believe you if you were wrong or not, because I don't know.
It is 39 to 45. World War I was 1914 to 1918. U.S. joined in 1917. I know too much because of ROTC.
There was the War of 1812, and that's all I know.
It was 1812 to 1814.
I just know of the War of 1812.
It was 14. It was either 14 or 15. Why are we even talking? When did the
we're super good at staying on track on our topic.
1812 end. 1815. I was 1 year off. I said 14 or 15.
So you got it.
Yeah.
But we're very good at staying on topic on the realities of DID and OSDD.
I mean, a lot of what we're talking about technically is.
Yeah.
So, like, growing up in a cult-like church, that can develop some people.
I've met a lot of systems
from the
that
Mormon
were raised
church.
Mormon. Or in just really strict religious households.
Or in literal cults. I know a lot of systems. But it's just wild to me that people are like, oh, you can't have this. And I'm like, fuck you, where'd my phone go?
It's a lot more prevalent than you think.
And the realities of it is it was formed in a child's brain. Anything can happen. You can have persecutors, you can have non-human alters, you can have protectors, you can have really positive alters, you can have really negative alters, you can have emotional parts that hold an emotion. It's when you look at the science behind it, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's like, that's why one of the ways that I kind of have been explaining it to people in my life is that brains are weird.
Brains are weird.
Brains are really weird.
How we describe like how it forms is we actually go into structural dissociation and tell them, well, you start off as all these ego states. I need food, I need water, I need affection, I need this done, I need that done. Because you can't do it for yourself. And and eventually you fuse and become one person. Those ego states can fuse if you're in a healthy environment, and you become a person. And that's why you can like go into like the work mode and the house mode, and that's why you can code switch. And then I explain, but if you interrupt that, instead of having work you, home you, whatever, you have differentiated ego states. It's if something interrupts the process. Which is completely like, and then they're like, oh, that's why I code switch and all that fun stuff. I'm like, yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's why
code switching exists, brother.
It's like, that's why people can get confused, where they're like, oh yeah, just like this. Like, no.
They're like, oh, I have different personalities. You have one personality with different, like, states, but we have multiple personalities. Because there are multiple people with their own personalities. And it just gets complicated. But any, like, closing thoughts?
Again, just kind of like, you know, this disorder is not all sunshine and rainbows.
But it's also
not all. Yeah.
It's not all thunderstorms and hail.
It's a little bit of both.
It's a little bit of both. You can have, like, somewhat rainy days. You can have a sprinkle. You can have snow. You can have an overflow of snow. And that gets overwhelming because you feel like you're suffocating. Because alters are just there. You can have hail. You can have all these different... You can have tornadoes. You can have hurricanes. You can have all these different emotions. while having DID. We are not one facet, one record players.
Mm-hmm.
The point of DID is to be multifaceted. Is to do the things that you're not supposed to be able to do. So you can protect yourself from the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not all bad. It's not all good.
And just because, and again,
some are really weird realities of DID.
Yeah, sometimes sometimes you feel like you're a crazy person.
I feel like that a lot. Because I just
I
hear
definitely
people.
feel like
That's
a crazy
great.
person a lot. Especially in a very large system with a lot of non-humans.
In a very large system with a lot of amnesia, oh yeah, we feel that.
And even like having no amnesia. Having just emotional amnesia. Like, I
our amnesia
remember
just...
everything that everyone does. And it makes me feel even more like a crazy person.
Yeah, that's fair. Sometimes I get popped up memories from other people. And that like fucks me up, and I'm just like, I shouldn't remember that. But I mean, I know it's a sign we're healing and able to communicate and things like that. But we feel like we're nuts.
Mm.
And a lot of people would say we are.
Yeah.
But we're normal people. I'm going to college. I have a job.
Yeah, I have a job. I work.
I can drive. Not everyone can drive. That is a system. But I can drive. I can do all these things. I can interact with my family. I can, sorry, my sister tried calling me and I had to do the automated I can't talk right now response. Why doesn't... I'm pretty sure she unfollowed me on Twitch last time we fought. So that would probably be why she doesn't know. Because I also banned her from the Discord for it. Because I was that pissed off at her.
It's like that.
This is what happens. Okay, it wasn't important. She literally said, okay, it wasn't important.
Nice.
But anywho. But have a good night, y'all. Thank you for joining us for the DIDIOTS. Thank you for joining us for some obscure realities of DID and some Mormon talk.
Some fun just going off.
It's great. All right, let's